I'm Charlotte McLeod with investingnews.com, and here today with me is Yvonne Blaszczyk, President and CEO of BMG Group. Thank you so much for being here. Great to have you once again.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Really good to see you again. And of course, we're catching up on our last conversation back in August. So at the time, we focused quite a bit on the BRICS and the importance of their upcoming meeting. That meeting just wrapped up a few weeks ago. So I wanted to start there and ask you a pretty broad question. What were your main takeaways from the BRICS Summit?
This is actually a fascinating situation. The meeting just took place in Kazan, and everybody was expecting some sort of announcement on the creation of a global currency, universal currency backed by gold. That not happen in so many words. However, one of the major development was the fact that the 13 new members are joining BRICS coalition. And that creates a very interesting scenario for us in the Western world. I don't know if anyone ever looked at the map, kind of a visually understanding the location and how we are surrounded in North America and in Europe by this coalition. Right now, currently, the GDP of BRICS countries is over 29% of the entire world. Their population is over 46%, 47%. Their oil production is 43% of the world production. And the exports, which is the very, very important element, are about 25% of global export. They actually have capability of trading with each other, of trading with local currency backed by gold. In the Western world here, we are just noticing and looking at the rise of a gold-related investments. BRICS nations been quietly stockpiling gold for a very, very long time. They have also huge deposits of gold in their countries. So they have been de facto to the reports that are out there, using a currency, local currency backed by gold at their local level. Will they and when they will come up with some serious universal currency? We don't know. However, gold is a very, very important element of the financial structure, and of course ours, and it's just emerging. Before, gold was, as you know, a safe haven. People thought gold was there, but nobody was looking at the gold in the same way as they're looking right now. This year alone, gold went up over 30%. That's incredible. In December of last year, it was under 2,000. Today, it's hovering around 2,800 US dollar. 2,700. That's an incredible increase. So even if people before thought that gold does not produce dividends, the rise in price of gold, not only over the long period of time that it's kind of typical, but the short period of time, like a year, it's amazing. So that's a huge change. I do stick to my prediction. The gold is going to be $3,000 very soon, an ounce, 3,000 US dollars, and also the efforts to create a competition for a US dollar as a reserve currency is right now very serious global issue, and I think and a very serious consideration. I don't do believe that the dollar will disappear. However, may have a very serious competition. Most of the BRIC countries are under US or Western sanctions. 60% of all the countries are low-income nations. They have historical and cultural reasons to band together, and now they have economic. In addition to this, they probably will have military alliances. So it's becoming the world is going to be very much a bipolar. The global village has changed. Is right now a West against East, and everything is turning to the East. So that is a very serious consideration. The other thing is, I think I mentioned that before, in 2014 and 2015, both Russia and China created a system similar to SWIFT. Now they have another system that is a kind of a BRICS system that is not only a huge competition for SWIFT, but will eliminate the pressure created by sanctions, and will eliminate as a matter of fact, sanctions probably pushed all those countries to create an alternative both ideologically, financially, economically, and probably militarily. So it's going to be extremely interesting in the future. We are going to be witnessing incredible history just before our eyes.
I think definitely we're starting to see that recognition develop because of all these many events that you've highlighted there. So many things going on. I think that's really clear. One thing I wanted to go back to is to talk a little bit more about the BRICS. So you had mentioned this system that they are using that we're hearing a little bit more about. Is that the BRICS Pay system? Because I know you mentioned we didn't get the BRICS currency that everyone was excited about, but I've been hearing a little bit more about this BRICS Pay. Could you go into that a little bit more and explain what it's all about?
Yes, the new development bank. It's formally referred as the BRICS Development Bank, operating by 5 major states, the major stakeholders of BRICS. That system is pretty much a global system that will allow the countries that belong to that coalition to trade, to pay for products in the currency that is accepted by I think NDB, they call this system, that bank. So now, when you think about it, the global trade, all the benefits of it, all the revenues from it, actually going to be captured possibly by the countries that are part of BRICS. That's major development. I guess. Before we thought that SWIFT was the only system that will be able to have the cross-border transactions captured, but that's not the case anymore. So I think the BRICS countries are building an infrastructure for a not only for being a competition to the current system, but perhaps to even overtake the current system. Particularly the developing countries that for longest time were suffering from their economy from the disasters they were dealing with, and with historical memory that they have in terms of political and social alliances. That's becoming more and more salient. A lot of the flashpoints are around basically the religious, ethnic, historical, territorial claims that are coming to the surface. But what embraces at the end is business, survival, which is economy. Global economy is going to be divided into 2 spheres, and now will some countries in the Western Hemisphere, some European countries, decide that for their own survival, they must trade with the BRICS alliance, which will have will send the shockwaves and create some major changes that will be echoing politics, in the foreign politics. Understanding your opponent is very important. Understanding and appreciating their tactics and their strategy and where it's coming from, not just from the obvious superficial veneer, is critical. So it will all depend how the new government in US is going to be equipped with the knowledgeable people that understand that the world has changed and understand what they're dealing with, and how deep it is ingrained in those people, and will the international politics be able to, and diplomacy, resolve those issues and create a very secure, prosperous life for us here in North America and in Europe. That's a huge question. And I do believe that gold is an answer. The second runner up is the poor man's gold, which is silver, with all the industrial applications, is going to be also a very important element in the economy. So that's I think the BRICS countries are emerging very strongly as a very well organized a coalition, ingrained in a social cultural alliances, and they're all embraced by the fact that gold is a major component and a savior for many of those countries from the current situation. And they can avoid a lot of different difficulties by having a gold as their reserve currency. As you know, for a long time, people were questioning the survival of the fiat currencies. Fiat currencies don't have such a good history and all over the world historically, and the gold has been money for 5,000 years. And that is a reality that we have to face, that we have to look at that, how we can be flexible to start appreciating gold as essential to our existence.
I think it's really interesting that you mentioned how well the BRICS countries are cooperating, because before this interview, we asked our audience, okay, what do you want to know about the BRICS? Questions do you have about the BRICS meeting? And one point that came up a couple of times was, this is a group of very diverse countries. What do they have in place to ensure that they work well together to resolve disputes? Anything more that you would say about that? It sounds kind of like gold is a unifying factor that's really key for the BRICS.
The unifying factor is actually, when you look, there are in Asia, you have Russia, you have China, you have India, you have South Africa, then you have some South American countries. Those countries had been historically, they've been in a state of war forever. And they were also connected politically and I think socially in a lot of ways. So they feel perhaps that they have more in common with each other than they have in common with the Western world. And that's the reality. And there is like a ring when you look from South America, Africa, Asia. They're all surrounding, and those countries are very rich in resources, and they have a huge territories and a lot of a huge population. But what binds them together is a common factor, which is the fact that they are struggling economically. Politically, they are struggling, or they're suppressed politically by their system. But they are raising that system. They know that system. That's their systems. We cannot change it. We cannot go to someone that has no idea of living in a different system, but they think we are trying to take something away from them. That will bond them together. What also the other factor that binds them together is the fact that there was a hegemony of US dollar, and a lot of countries are in debt. And a lot of other countries have a huge black market for US dollar because of that. And their governments are trying to combat that. And they don't know how to be as successful in that. To some degree they do. But I think the gold is going to have a not only safe haven value, but it's going to be a central element. And that comes from BRICS countries. Our financial experts probably will come to the realization, and I hope not too late, that this coalition is a huge tidal wave to our current systems. And when you read about each of those countries, when you understand their history, when you understand their conviction, then you know that's what's binding them. South Africa, their history, what they came through. Russia, historically, for hundreds, for thousands of years. China, since the Chinese Revolution. All those countries, they have a very strong political identity that will bring them together economically as well.
Okay, so clearly we have this growing East-West divide here. We've got the BRICS very strong. As we speak right now, as you've already mentioned, we have people heading to the polls in the US. By the time we post this interview, we may or may not know who the next president is. That remains to be seen.
It's going to be a long night tonight.
For sure, it's going to be a long night. Lots of waiting for us, for sure. But, so depending on who we have as president in the US, how do you think each person could develop a relationship differently in terms of the BRICS in the East?
It's very complicated because when you look at the platform of both parties, and I'm not talking about the leaders or the individuals that are running for president, that's sort of another situation. But we have two opposing platforms. One platform speaking strongly about the economy, about tariffs, about fighting, and about negotiating with the other side in terms of economic power, in economic survival. Another party is a more, I think, focusing on other things, on the social justice or on other aspects. So that's how do you translate that to the economy? If you were a fly on the wall in China or in some other country, if you were thinking what they are thinking, how they perceiving it, they probably are fearing more of a Republican Party being in power. I would suspect, and it all depends. It depends how much the policy, whoever wins, will disrupt the current situation, political. What will happen? We cannot continue what we're doing right now. There are two major political, military, conflicts, wars are brewing or going on right now as we're speaking. Both of them have a serious implication on the U.S. economy. So it all depends. I think that would be the finesse of whoever becomes a president of the United States of America to build a new international political reality. And that will have a huge impact on the economy. And that's I think it's very, very important. It's very difficult to judge the results based on the political platforms and during the election times. People trying to get the popular vote. People are trying to appeal to their supporters. People are trying to align themselves more politically and socially with different groups of people. At the end of the day, they go to the White House and they have to start working. And the world is a mess right now. We don't see that mess here to that degree. But outside our borders, there is a lot of factors, a lot of complexities on many levels, and a lot of variables that will have to be somewhat negotiated, resolved, somewhat in a firm way, in some other way as well. So that's very far away from our I think ideological or social reality, which is social justice, was important for us in North America. It's not important in China or in Russia or in South Africa, for sure. So if the politics is based on those values, then we are going to be speaking to the walls on the other side. So it all depends. It depends how will the government be organized, what will occur after the election, who are the people that are going to be in charge of different aspects of the global relations. So that's going to be more critical than anything else. So it's going to be the most important. I think is going to be the first few weeks after the election, because you will see what will happen. And I read and I was speaking to different people, different analysts about what will happen. And they were saying, what will happen if Donald Trump wins? What will happen if Kamala Harris wins? You have to look at the parties and their platform more than the individuals. And that's what I do believe, that's where the answer is. If you really want to have some sort of a prediction or some sense of understanding, you need to look at the broader picture. And then you have to look outside United States. You have to see what is happening in the world. That what's happening internally in US is a very different environment than on another part of the globe. And the world is very small now, small and divided. So.
Yes, yes. I think a lot of the conversations I've been having leading up to the election is trying to answer that question of, does the election matter for gold? And I think that's a really good reminder that you just gave us, that, okay, this is going on, but don't forget to look at what's going on in the world. So any nuance you would add to that election and gold question in that context?
I think election will have a minimal impact on gold. What will have more impact is the international politics that will result from that election. The preoccupation with only kind of American issues, which are very complex and very complicated and very difficult to solve, have some impact, but it will be minimum, because I think the major emphasis is on the global geopolitical developments. And in terms of the financial systems, that they are overburdened with a humongous debt that other countries are carrying. So the military flashpoints can be resolved relatively, probably easier. They'll be easier to resolve them than economical issues. The structural, the systemic problems that have been built over the years, and right now they have to be somehow refocused, dismantled. And I mentioned the Titanic. Imagine we are not America, we are sitting on a Titanic, and we decided, okay, we are going to change the furniture, have election, see what will happen. And when you have to look outside, where are the icebergs? And where's the tip of the iceberg? And that's what we have to look at. So that's my kind of a perspective on this matter.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I like the Titanic reference as well. So when you look at your $3,000 price target for gold that you see coming, is there a particular catalyst that you think gets us there, or is it more the slow building of all the factors that you've been discussing that keeps it steadily rising higher?
Actually, both. I think the trend of the rising price of gold will continue. The 3,000 is going to be kind of in the near future. I don't know exactly when. I was hoping by the end of this year. It could be right now, hovering now 2,800. Now, if there is any particular stimulus or any kind of event that'll be drastic enough, that will push price of gold very, very high. Nick Barishev, my predecessor, he wrote the book, $10,000 a gold. Many people feel that one day, that may be even beyond 10,000 US dollars an ounce of gold. It could be very soon. We cannot predict right now what would be the event, international event. I'm saying that will prompt such a huge surge in price of gold. But gold is going up, and it will be going up. And I don't think people should worry about the trends going up and down. I think people are so preoccupied on a daily basis with gold or monthly basis that they're afraid to get into it. I was speaking to someone where the gold was $1,000. We're just getting there. And it went over 1,000. I think it was 1,200 or something. And this person said to me, you know something, if it go back to 1,000, I'm going to buy. Well, they called the other day and they bought a few $1 million worth of gold. Because at the $2,700 will change an ounce. And this is how people think. Someone asked me, actually, I have to tell you, someone asked me, why you're speaking about gold right now when the price is at around $2,800, $2,700 with change? Why not before? I said, we always spoke about gold, except nobody was listening. This is, Imagine painting a beautiful painting for a blind person, or writing a beautiful symphony for someone that cannot hear. This is what happened with gold. The proponents of gold, the people that understood gold, that know gold, for years they were saying this has been for $5,000 unfailed, secure part of the economic financial systems. Please be secure. Please have some gold. Please have exposure to gold at least. And now I don't think this is the maximum. The gold will be going up, and also the reserves of gold above ground won't be available. One day there'll be such a huge demand, then it will disturb the supply demand ratio, which can actually push gold to huge amount of I even heard numbers like $100,000 an ounce. It's difficult to say right now. In my world, we are very happy that it's gradually going up, and believe me, 30% increase in 1 year is absolutely amazing. There is no. I will ask someone, do you have any investment that went up 30% this year? And perhaps real estate, houses, but if you can answer that question, then start looking at gold and see what gold would do to you, to your portfolio. The other thing I think that is a huge misunderstanding. People, we say quite often that gold is basically preserving your wealth. And I think, I don't know, it was your show or some other one that I mentioned, preserving wealth is not for wealthy people. Preserving wealth is for everyone. One person preserves the Lamborghini and the 2 castles in the south of France. Another person is preserving their bungalow and the 1 car that they have. That's their wealth. So preserving wealth, what it means that you need to have something that will preserve what you already have. But with gold, actually, whoever invested in gold, their wealth has increased. So that's kind of the bottom line that
Yes.
I think everyone has to think about.
Yes, you did give us that message the last time as well, and I really like it. It doesn't matter what you have, you should be working to preserve it. I think that makes it so accessible for everybody. So I think that's a nice place to wrap up, unless you had any other thoughts.
Well, I think right now we have to just watch the history unfold before our eyes. This is a very interesting time in our lives, and not only from the gold perspective, but what is happening in the world. And we have to really understand the world, to understand our preserving our wealth, our survival, having good lives and enriched lives. We have to understand what is happening globally, not just in our immediate surroundings or in our culture.
Okay, really good to have you on again. And now I'll let you get home to watch the U.S. election results. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Thank you so much for coming on to talk. This is really good.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. See you soon.
Of course. See you soon. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with investingnews.com, and this is Yvonne Blaszczyk with BMG Group.